And let me tell you a little bit more about the guest speaker we're going to have today. Her name is Dr. Chandra Meghrajani-Co. And the truth is, today we're going to just be as casual as we could, just like old friends talking, because she was a blockmate of mine when I was in college. She pursued medicine while I pursued this, formulating and looking for ways to just better the things that we use at home. And I think in so many ways, we are very similar in things in how we would like to live our lives. Chandra is actually one who is just really curious about so many things, and particularly we'll find out later on how long she has had this curiosity on. She has this special interest in environmental dermatology and integrative dermatology. So we can ask her a little later about what this might be about, how related is it to clean beauty, and perhaps, if you have some questions, you can also just type it down, and if I will be able to read them out, and we would have time to have her answer these, maybe we just would. Okay, so I hope you stay. There's 16 people now here, and I'm going to go ahead and let Chandra come in and join us. Okay, let me find that request. Okay, there she is.
Hi.
Okay,
Sorry, I'll change the position.
Okay, so I think Chandra, they will find out that we're both very similar with how we are with technology. Because earlier today I had to do a test run over at my personal page, and I think I found it weird that I was doing that, and with my tech team. But I just wanted everything to proceed very smoothly with us today. So first of all, thank you so much. I just saw you I think a week ago, right? Yeah. Week ago. We just saw each other a week ago, and we sort of also talked about what it was that we are going to be taking up today. So thank you so much for doing this for us. It's not usual that we will find someone in the medical field brave enough to be able to talk about these things, because I know that this is something that is quite new, and of course I would understand, I was almost in that path also. Everything has to be really tested, and everything has to be really founded, and that's how it should really be. But now that there are more and more initiatives on the end of health professionals to look into these things that we'll talk about, that really is something that excites a lot of people who have this intuition that this is the way, this is the, what you should achieve with our lifestyle, diba? Okay, so first of all, wanted to ask you, I don't know if you hear the rain, but I'm just going to go ahead and proceed, no? Wanted to ask you what made you want to be a dermatologist. We were both in the same class, and we were all going that way, but I never got to ask you why you found yourself wanting to be in this field. In the field of dermatology, yes.
Well, partly the reason for that is because I've always had bad skin since at a young. So parang I started getting acne at 11 years old, I think, around that time. So since 11 until high school, college, was it was uncontrollable acne until I reached med school, and then that's when I realized, may treatments pala. There are options to control and treat your condition. So from there, I got curious and interested, and there are ways to parang to help patients who have these problems. So parang since it was in a way close to my heart, because it was something I dealt with for a long time. So that's why I went into
dermatology. And then just a few years back, we reconnected because you also started becoming very interested in a another field within dermatology, and something that I was also very much interested in, maybe more on the making side, no? So in a way, our professions would intersect in certain areas. Why we like each other is that we like facts. We like looking things up, and do not just rely on hearsay or simple blogs. The thrill is always coming from being able to make use of founded research. So can you tell us a little bit more about this environmental and integrative dermatology? Because I don't remember having known that there was such a thing when we were both in college or in pre-med. What exactly is this? Is this a new thing?
Well, not new, but maybe not known to the layperson, because these are just like subspecialties under dermatology. So parang it's something you just focus on once you finished your dermatology training. So environmental dermatology, basically, classically, it was focusing on skin conditions that arise from environmental exposure. So kunwari, you get like a contact allergy from chemical exposure at work, or irritant reaction from the chemicals at work. Also could be like from exposure to plants or insects, but you get rashes from like pag napaheda ng parts like that. So that's like environmental derm. We study the skin conditions that arise from environmental exposures. But now environmental derm is kind of evolving then, kasi like with the changing environment and the changing climate, they're noticing that there's worsening of some skin conditions due to like environmental pollution, like worsening of eczema, or like skin aging because of mga dioxins or whatever in the air. So parang they're seeing a connection with that also. But what I'm focused actually in environmental derm is how our skincare products, our use of skincare, cleansing and stuff like that affects the environment naman. So that's what I was actually like this use of our products. Does it have an effect on our environment? What we put on and what we put off. But aside from that, also may health effects by yung the things that we put on.
That we've
Now, si integrative derm naman, it's a different subspecialty. This one is relatively new. Because integrative derm is like, if you've heard of integrative medicine, it's basically they have a holistic approach in treating the patient. And what they usually do is they use traditional medicine, the conventional medicine we know, with alternative or complementary medicine. So parang mini-merge together yung scientific with ancient practices in a way. Parang ganon. So like, di ba, kasi parang for some, di ba, they find walang basis like sina Ayurvedic or acupuncture and all that stuff. So, but there is scientific basis for some of those practices. So, we're trying to merge that with parang with our traditional medicine now. So in derm, what they do with integrative derm is they look at the patient as a whole. So you don't just look at the skin lesion or the skin condition. You look at the patient's lifestyle, nutrition, stress, environmental exposures. But you look at the whole, lifestyle and the whole package to see how is it affecting the patient's skin problem. Parang because it's all interrelated naman, and that's what we're finding out now. Parang even the gut, they're finding, connected to the skin and all that. So that's part of the thing that they do in integrative derm. And with integrative derm, since medyo mas they're holistic, they also parang dun din naging parang may interest in looking into the skincare and if it's having effects on our health.
On our health. You're actually giving me goosebumps. We've sat down several times and we've talked about very similar things, but it's just really now that I got to ask you about what these are all about, these things that you are you have become so interested in. Meron pala talaga na ngayon, there really is a focus already, and there is such a thing as dermatology, dermatology there. And if maybe this was around when we were both in school, that could have been something that would really, really interest me. But it's so great that you pursued it. And now that it is coming out that there are persons like you who are really going out of your way, and I would believe you, knowing you enough, you are studying this because there is something there that makes sense, right? And while it might not be yet a very fully founded field just yet, and something that's being studied, you are already also seeing from your gut feel and what your background as well, that there just might be something here that's going to be beneficial and will be helpful for everyone, especially in the field that you're in. So here's the question. Since when ka pa interested dyan? Since when have you been interested in this, particularly in this focus?
Actually, medyo recent lang. And a few years back, I think around 6 years ago, when that was like starting to go to school. Because at that time, that's when if I remember I was telling about that, we started to be more parang mindful of our environment and what we can do to help or to make changes at home, to be, to be not part of the problem and be part of the solution, diba? So so at the time, initially it was just really like, we were trying to go zero waste, trying to avoid plastics and all that. So and from there, parang, kasi one of the things that we were trying to cut down is, I realized that like in our skincare, like at the bathroom, diba, and daming, there's so many things in plastic bottles, plastic tubes, and all that. So parang, diba, we were trying to shift to like to products that weren't packed in plastic. But as I was looking at it, I realized it's not just the packaging that mattered, it was what was inside the product. So from there, I started delving into it and researching, does it matter? Like the ingredients in the skin, did it matter? Because when we were being trained in derm, it's like we presume all these products that we're using, it's safe. Kasi why would it be out in the market if it's unsafe, diba? Yeah. So parang, I regularly like prescribe this to patients and all that, but it was just recently that I started thinking na, is it really safe? Is there something to the, because I would hear na parang, they're avoiding parabens, they're avoiding this. I'm like, but why? Parang, why is there that? Where is that coming from? So I started, searching in the scientific literature, in the journals, and the studies. Is there a basis on this aversion to these parang ingredients in skincare products?
Yeah. So Chandra, you've already actually started mentioning the things that we really very strongly advocate in For Keeps. Just really having just really wanting to have people to have some awareness on what they put on their bodies. And one of the reasons why we wanted to push a more commercial brand of what I used to make in the other brand, Body Food, that we also know, we connected through that, was because when you look around, it would be very difficult to find products that were very sincere about just really putting in things that would close to absolutely, not carry these harmful ingredients, these toxic ingredients, diba? So what we really are pushing right now is clean beauty. And I know that clean beauty has been around. The term clean beauty has been around for a few years, but it's still relatively new, right? I'm not quite sure also if the field of dermatology would really consider it as, right? As an official term for certain things. And I would understand that this will take time. If ever it will be, it will take some time, right? Like I said, aaralin pa yan. But I think you understand what we're trying to do. Us on our end that are producing these things, I think you understand what we're trying to do. So And I know that you have also encountered literature about clean beauty, diba? As a dermatologist, how does it, what is clean beauty to you? If you were to summarize all these things that you have read, because right now clean beauty is it's a loose term, diba? There are some that would involve the environment, there are some that would just focus on health. But you have actually also been very, very much studying effects on the environment. So, to you, what is clean beauty? If we were to ask you, how would you maybe explain clean beauty to someone who would ask you, even if it is not an official medical term?
Okay. So, yun nga. Clean beauty is a relatively new term. Parang ito mga early 2000s siya lumabas. Yung well, that's what no one really knows where it came from. The idea of it, the concept of it, they were saying started out in the 1990s because people were trying to have clean living, basically, but with regards to health, like eating and stuff. So they started looking then in the skincare. So hence the term clean beauty. And I think some skincare product makers parang use that term to push their products at the start. That's what happened. Parang they made that term to parang in a way to market it different from the traditional skincare product. And so clean beauty, there's really no how do you say parang definitive or parang walang specific definition talaga of what clean beauty is. Parang it That's depends right. on ano yung parang paniniwala or principles mo. So if you were to ask me, so this will just be my opinion, is clean beauty would be having skincare products with ingredients that are not harmful to the environment and also not harmful to one's health. And at the same time, may issue din of sustainability, meaning your ingredients may be how do you say, all natural, like plant-based and all that. But sustainability is also an issue, meaning yung sourcing mo of your ingredients should be not harmful to the environment or detrimental then. So you would know there are ingredients that they may be plant-based, but it's wreaking havoc on our ecosystem. So we parang I kind of have medyo in-depth din yun. You have to know, but you have to know those things, those little things that when you look into the ingredients of a skincare product, when you check for things, you kind of have to do your own research and know parang what is okay and what is not okay for you.
That's right. And if I may add to that, no, it's very easy to actually just look at the ingredients and then judge from there. But really, what matters always what goes on apart from that choice. It's already a good sign if more would know what which ones are harmful ingredients and which ones are safe ingredients to put on your bodies. But and that would maybe be for people who are not yet very knowledgeable about processes, yung mga ganon, it would be a good start to always refer to the ingredients, I think, no? And that's one of the things that we're really hoping on our end for Keeps brand is that we're able to educate more about which ones first not to subject our bodies to. Now, as a derma who has been looking into and studying these things, this environmental and integrative dermatology, I'm sure you have already also read up on certain ingredients that are commonly used and are commonly also present in our more commercial brands. As a health professional, and someone who is into these things, what would you, maybe top 3 lang, I will not ask for a whole list, but top 3, I know you have a long list, but what would be top 3 that maybe those who are watching and who are new to this concept of clean beauty, what are top 3 things that you would advise that people would avoid because these are perhaps the more harmful to our skin or maybe what we are most reactive to?
sige, for me, three, sige, pili.
Pili ka.
Pili. Or maybe I'll make it 5.
Yes, okay.
Then first of all, triclosan or antimicrobial, yung mga ang daming products kasi yun, antibacterial, especially with what happened, the pandemic, we're all, disinfecting and sanitizing everything. But in soaps and in skincare, or even in sa household, it's not necessary to have those triclosan or antibacterial ingredients. Although now, yung iba, they phased out triclosan. Nagka-issue yan with the FDA, diba? They phased out triclosan in the US and some soaps kasi parang kasi studies are showing in community studies, when they compared plain soap with antibacterial soap in preventing disease in the community, pareho lang sila. The antimicrobial soap will not show more benefit in preventing illnesses. The fact is, ang kailangan talaga is mag-wash ng hands with plain soap. So even UNESCO was saying this during the height of the pandemic, parang they recommend use of plain soap and washing hands. No need for antibacterial or antimicrobial soaps because our issue with the use of those triclosan and stuff is it might create more antibiotic resistance in the community. Meaning the germs, when they're always exposed to different antimicrobials, they develop resistance to them. And there are studies showing, environmental studies showing that those microbes that were exposed to triclosan were more resistant to certain antibiotics. So in theory, it can happen, or maybe it is happening. We just can't parang prove pa talaga in clinical settings. So they're worried with that happening. So that's why we say if it's not necessary naman, don't use it na. Kasi the main purpose talaga of those antibacterials was for the medical field inside the hospital. Like we wash with those. If we're gonna do surgery because we're gonna open up the patient. So syempre we have to disinfect. But if you're just gonna cook or clean, or eat, you don't need to be disinfected. You just need to wash your hands, soap and water, para lang you don't have nga those mga communicable diseases when at home or eating and stuff like that. So that's one. The second, I would avoid is fragrance. But fragrance, it's actually, it encompasses thousands of chemicals. Because fragrance, when we see fragrance in a product, it can be as little as 2 or like a dozen or 20 combinations diba, to make fragrance. And the reason that they put just fragrance in the list is because trade secret siya, diba? The smell that they create, it's a trade secret, so they don't say it's a mix of linalool, geranol, mga limonene, diba? It's all those things together. And the reason I avoid fragrances is because if you don't know, fragrances, most of the fragrances we have in the market, it's synthetic, and when we say synthetic, they're created from petroleum, from the refinement of gasoline. They get these products and do some chemical reactions with it and make these the scents. So basically what you're using is petroleum. It's a petroleum byproduct, and since it's from petroleum, it will dissipate into the air, and basically you're already creating air pollution with the fragrance. What they're also seeing is that the fragrances, when we wash it off, it goes when we wash it off, it goes into the waters. So syempre napupunta rin din the organisms were in the waters, with fishes, mussels, mga ganyan. There's build-up of those mga synthetic musks and fragrances in them, and then we eat them, and so we get them too. So yun. So may ganun parang issue with that, with the fragrances. But a big part of it also is the air pollution. Kasi remember, if you kung may sobrang strong scents na expose ka to, it's like ang sakit din sa ulo, diba? Ang sakit sa nose. It does have effects on us as well with being exposed like that. And then third one, combine ko na si phthalates and si parabens. So Sige, parabens common siya in skincare because it's a preservative. It's a good preservative. It's
Yes.
it's what they see. It's a very nice preservative. Kasi easy to use, non-toxic. That's easy to produce, mura lang siya. But and it's effective against preventing the growth of mold in our skincare products. But ang issue with parabens together with phthalates, phthalates actually nasa fragrance siya na component, mixed siya with fragrance. They use phthalates to make the perfume stick to your skin. Kasi scents they're very volatile, mabilis mawala. So for them to stay on you, you need phthalates to make them stick. So si phthalate, but it's not just that. It's also a plasticizer, meaning they use that to make plastics moldable or pliable. So yung mga microwavable food containers, that's how they make it na ganung shape. So, and if you remember sa food containers, pag nilagay ng food, kahit anong hugas mo, hindi natatanggal yung smell ng food na nilagay mo there. Like if you put something na onions, forever na siya amoy onions. Kasi kumakapit nga dun sa phthalates, yung scent, yung amoy.
If
container. So,
Oo, ang tawag nila dyan is fixative. So it really kakapit talaga siya. Yeah, oo.
So this one, so si phthalates and si parabens, they're two different things, but the problem with them is they're what we consider endocrine disruptors, or meaning they somehow affect our hormones, because if you look at their structure, they look like estrogen. So there are studies now. Before kasi traditionally we were saying, oh, why does it matter? It's very low. The one in the skincare products, it's so low. It's not good. I mean, it's like parts per billion, parts per million yung exposure natin. Because the toxicity studies done back then, super high yung doses na binibigay to the animals showing the toxicity. And they're saying, we're not exposed naman in that level. So it shouldn't matter. But now, toxicologists and endocrinologists are seeing that the level of exposure we have, what we call environmentally relevant exposures, the very low dose, the parts per million or parts per billion, when they did those studies on the animals, they're showing effects. They're showing disruption in the hormones of the animals. Then some would still argue, oh, but it's a rat, it's a mice, it doesn't apply to us. But if you look at the science behind it, if you look at with the estrogen receptor, yung gene structure daw ng estrogen receptor, it's highly conserved. So basically, ang big sabihin nun, it hasn't changed for the past million years, yung estrogen receptor natin. In a rat, in a mice, in amphibians, reptiles, or mammals, it's all the same. An estrogen for them is the same for us. So kung may hormone or chemical na nag-bind dun sa estrogen receptor ng rat, it's safe to assume that it's going to bind to our receptors as well. So that's why this researchers are saying it's safe to assume that these effects that they're seeing in the lab animals, it is highly probable that it's happening to our systems as well. But we can't do human studies because it's unethical right now to test particular those ingredients. But what they're doing now is ang nakikita pa lang nila is how do you say association studies, which means they'll measure na lang the levels. Like kasi we're all exposed naman eh. There's no if you test subjects for the levels of parabens or phthalates in their urine or in their blood or in their breast milk, 95% of them will always test positive for all these skincare ingredients. But it's actually not from skincare, it's from food. All of these ingredients we get mostly from our food because we're throwing this all out in the environment. But also there's absorption from use of skincare. Kasi like first one study and they did they made the subjects fast, meaning wala silang kinain for 48 hours para they'll see the level phthalates in their urine. So they expected na, but from the 21st, babagsak na siya. But what happened was, bumagsak, then umakyat ulit, then bumagsak, then umakyat. But the thing is, the subjects, they weren't eating anything at all. They were just having bottled water in glass. So they were sure na walang phthalates there. So like, where is it coming from? Then, nung chinek nila yung timing when it would rise up again, it was right after their morning shower because they were using skincare products. So may absorption niya. Yeah, so yun. So their
body is so able to adjust, no? Na if you are fasting, it will try to absorb from your environment. faster, more ano, parang 'di ba, more aggressively. That's interesting. I'm so glad you shared that with us.
Yun. So that's one of the parang sasabi din na proof na yeah, there is absorption, and we know that there is absorption with anything you apply to the skin because we have medications that you apply, dermally, di ba? Yung mga patches for like for pain and stuff like that. Because the medication does get absorbed through your skin. There is such a thing as dermal absorption. So the concept of these products that we apply on the skin being absorbed through our skin, it's not I know far out there. It's happening. It's just a matter of how parang ang kino-contest na nga lang ngayon is if it's getting absorbed or not. Ang kino-contest na lang nila is the levels. Until what level is okay for us to be exposed to these things. So yun yung answer. Like up to kayo okay. No. To expose kasi parang for us here, parang we really parang somehow we took out na all skincare products and household products that are made from petroleum or yung synthesized for petroleum. We really try to go for made from plants or minerals and really try to steer clear if we can, from petroleum derived ingredients.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's already 4, no? You wanted to add another one, Chandra?
Kasi okay. Okay, yeah.
Masabi.
Last one, si UV filter. Sa sunscreen. But okay, not okay. What ang may issue talaga with sunscreens are the chemical sunscreens. So these are the ones na yung like mga avobenzone, oxybenzone, we call it chemical. Iba siya from, again, petroleum, as compared to zinc oxide. Yeah. Zinc oxide is sunscreen also, but it's a mineral sunscreen. And for us, we're okay. But if you look at the environmental studies, mas safer si zinc oxide in the sense na it's not harming the corals. Yeah, but there's coral bleaching and stuff from the use of these chemical sunscreens. But with zinc oxide, there were studies showing that if it was nanoparticle size, it is still harmful. So that's why that's why they're saying go for a non-nano zinc if you can. But it's not just yung sa corals yung naapektuhanin. With the chemical sunscreens like oxybenzone, avobenzone, ganun na naman, they have that structure na similar to estrogen. So they're also considered endocrine disruptors. So that's another issue, and it does get absorbed. There was a recent study on sunscreen application, just one-time application. There is absorption of those again ingredients in the sunscreen. So so that's another issue for them.
So that's really those top 5 are actually also my top 5 things to look out for, and I know that the list actually as time passes and more researches are made, the list gets longer and longer, no? Yeah, the list gets longer and longer. And it is just really natural that later on something that we would deem as safe would also come out to be also have its harmful effects. And that's why also I feel that you would agree with me, the best way when creating something is to always go for a simpler formulation than a really complicated formulation. And this is actually a great time to be able to just really zone in on what your priorities are. And for you right now, it is being able to live sustainably, because you do believe that it does have a very direct connection to your health. And with creating formulations naman, because I'm saying this because Chandra also makes her formulations. She makes their soaps, she cooks their food from scratch. She's actually one person who I would really, really look up to and admire. If you would think that I am very, very strict about certain things, I mean, you should meet Chandra. She will always try to find a more difficult way to make that seems just really parang sobra na ang difficult talaga. But no, that's really it. I feel, Chandra, that convenience has just really been the culprit to a lot of these things that have come up. Even how how thick certain things are. Hindi naman kailangang masyadong thick. Lalagyan natin ng mga thickeners. And that goes not just for skincare, but even for our food, right? When it could just be really cooked the way that it was made. Sometimes you don't even need to cook it, diba? So convenience is really something that sometimes we have to check and see, is this really a convenience that is worth having, if that would mean that I am actually harming the environment and harming myself. So, last month pala, we were talking about this circular effect that Miss Nikki was talking about, and how sustainability really is about, what you give, you get back, and all that stuff. And earlier we're talking about integrative dermatology and environmental dermatology, more the environmental. It is how things that are in your environment can actually affect your skin, even kung if we're gonna go zone in on skin, kasi given na, diba, health then, parang to get to inside our bodies, it will have to pass through our skin, or we will inhale. But you in particular, you are actually taking that step and stepping away from that and wanting to learn how what we use is actually affecting the environment. I see a certain circularity there, and it's really great that as a doctor you've chosen that side naman, no? But it's not easy. It's not easy. That's what I know also. To be able to have a household that is going to live cleanly, right? And what we mean by cleanly is, as much as possible, reduce all these potentially toxic things that will harm our health and the environment. If maybe people will think, kasi doktora, that's why she can do it. She knows, and which is actually a wrong way of seeing this. All the more because you are a doctor, there are certain things that you will always question, diba? Pagdating sa, this is not how we were taught. If these are things that are available out in the market, this should have passed a certain stringent, screening for it to be there. But then we're finding out, meron din pala silang harmful effects on us, and they are still there. Chandra, what are specific things that you found very difficult, just to keep this realistic, you found very difficult, or you're still working on right now in your home, and trying to very much, parang master how you can make your family's living more sustainable in that. Bigyan mo ako ng mahirap gawin para sa inyo.
Mahirap in what way? What do you mean? Sorry.
So for example, like just buying things from the grocery. That is, for me personally, a very difficult thing, because when you go to the grocery, the moment you go to the grocery, you can bring your eco bags, but the things that you buy from your grocery are already pre-packed in single-use plastics, right? When you go to the market, it doesn't mean it's also very easy, because in the market alone, you have to race with the manang to tell them to just put it in your recyclable. Teka po. that's the way it is for me. Dito na lang po, isasaluhin mo ng container, diba? So, I just really want to make sure that the people who are listening now will also be able to parang relate with you, because it seems to be na parang you've got it all set, and probably compared to many of us, but of all these things that you're struggling to put in place, is there something that you are currently working on?
It's but you said like going to the grocery. There are still certain things that you cannot buy nga. Hindi siya it's not. It's just like right now here in our country, it's just wala. It's impossible. Like, lalo now, well, with us, we to think we're trying to eat healthier and we're going plant-based, but we to buy beans, seeds, and nuts, and mga ganon, raisins. Wala, it's still in plastic. There are no like packed in paper or packed or glasses or unpacked na yung that you can put in your own containers. It's that's one thing that we still can't talaga. Now, we still do buy certain things in plastic, but if there is the option na hindi siya naka-plastic, like let's say ketchup. There's still some bottles and there is in plastic bottles. I would go for the glass bottle because there are studies showing that the phthalates from the plastic bottles, or even the BPA in cans, in canned goods, it transfers to the food. So we try. That's why we veer away from that. We don't buy canned goods. We don't go with the plastic. If there's a glass option, we'd go for that. Or if you have merong like with pasta, there's usually naka-plastic, but there are certain brands na naka-box. So like, those little things you can try. That's what we try to do to avoid. But yeah, right now in our country, in other countries, medyo meron pang mas may options. But here, a lot of the foodstuffs, yun yung struggle namin. It's still in plastic.
That's right.
And yung sa palengke, makipag-unahan ka talaga. Unless meron kayong suki kayo, alam na nila, may bag ka, direct, ganun. And, try to bring your, even in, it's actually hard, yung in the palengke, kasi diba, like if you wanna buy something na in mga liquids, ganyan, ng garapon, but it's doable. That's the thing. It's a struggle. It's not easy. Yeah, it took us years to change, but we changed little things at a time. Parang one thing at a time. Parang hindi rin nakaka-overwhelm. And then once you're used to that thing you change, you add another thing to change. Kasi sanay ka na. So it's part of your routine, part of your system. So it doesn't become so much of a struggle. So don't go for I'll take everything out. Ganyan. No. Parang you kind of, what you do is you take stock. What do you have at home? What do you think you can change? Actually, I just made a list before. Parang ano ba yung mga kailangan tanggalin from our home na stuff. This I made can be recycled. What is a total no? What can I do to replace this? So from there, ayun, we changed a lot of things in our home in the past 5 years and improved them. But it's still improvement. It's not perfect, but it's on trying every day.
That's good to know. It's actually the fact that you mentioned you just do it a little bit at a time is actually really nice to hear because syempre, when you talk about all these toxic things, people just think that they can just eliminate this totally, right? Because we are afraid of getting sick, of course, but as much as we would want to, there are certain things that we have already gotten so used to, that we have been made to get so used to, that it would be very difficult to just eliminate all of this, especially when you have a family to take care of, no? And they have been, children have been used to having this around, no? Now, I'm curious about your skincare things at home. I was very curious about whether you make everything. So, for example, your toothpaste, there are certain toothpastes that would have some of these toxic ingredients, right? What would you do? Or is it something that is still in progress? You're trying to figure, or you're in search for a more earth-friendly, health-friendly brand, for example?
Well, with toothpaste, we've switched to tooth tablets for quite a while na. And some it works for us naman. So, and it has fluoride. So, kasi that was a problem before I start, they were all fluoride free. And I'm like, we need fluoride. I know, scientifically, I know our teeth. So it's parang local maker who makes it na with fluoride and has essential oils for like clove and peppermint. So it was okay. We could we tolerated it. So it was one thing that we shifted to. But skincare, I don't make everything because you make a lot of nice things, so I get from you.
I know.
With regards to skincare, but the good thing about you sharing your knowledge is that I learned to make a lot of things for our home. So yeah, soaps I make. We make our own bath soaps, and the hand soaps, dish soap, the barretta.
Mm.
Detergent is hard. Detergent really, it's
Yes.
parang kailangan synthetic. So we
Uh-uh.
go for plant-based synthetic ones na as much as possible. And what else we make? With regards to like moisturizer, we just switch na lang to a plain plant oil to use. You know, whatever oil is available in sa mga in certain stores here in glass bottles. So I try it once and see like what works for us. And and also I learned from you, diba? There are like different plant oils have different absorptions depending on their greasiness. Because greasiness is a big factor
Yes.
with putting oils in the skin. We've found really good like diba, like jojoba and grapeseed oil, and they're easy to find, and they're usually in glass bottles. You can even find them like a big bottle. Tapos you just transfer nila diba, to smaller dropper bottles that you have at home. So that's what we've been doing.
Mm-mm.
Well, makeup was hard for a time. Makeup was hard to transition to more to away from the synthetic ones because luckily no one's really making these from the way we wanted made with those natural ingredients till you started making some. And then I learned to so yeah so I kind of that
You're also able to use the ones that you've made yourself.
yeah
The tinted balms.
yeah so so I was able recently I was able to shift more nga to all more natural cosmetics makeup, but syempre it's not the same as synthetic. Iba rin lang talaga yung feel ng synthetic ingredients. For now, we can't achieve that, like the silkiness, the smoothness, yung iba pa rin yung effect ng mga synthetic products. But for me kasi, which one is more important? So I was able to let go of aesthetic and go more for but I have to balance it with I prioritize my health more and the environment more. So that's why I chose na talaga na I break away na from cosmetics that are ingredients.
At the end of the day, the choices are really based on our priorities, no? Because of course, when you are not there yet, and it doesn't really, you are not yet faced with like, possible problems, health problems our loved ones could experience, and especially when you have children already, you start thinking that health really is more important than anything else. And it's really, some would get the misconception that clean beauty would mean yan, yung mga more superficial na pangpa-beauty lang talaga. But actually, it really, for those who are here, would be good for you to understand that when we say clean beauty, it really talks more about health, and that belief that the healthiest, the most beautiful that we can be is our most healthiest also, no? Chandra, I have actually two last questions. I know that I have kept you for a while, but even parang napapakinig na lang ako sa'yo kanina with the things that you were sharing. So one of the things that I wanted to ask for you to share with everybody as dermatologists, no, and for Keeps would always ask people to skin test the products, even our own products. So we have been already dermatologically tested by a derma laboratory. So, and it was already said that we are suitable for the most sensitive of skins. However, even we would always say there's still that small percentage of possibility that if you are allergic to some of the ingredients, there's a possibility that you will react. Maybe you can help us, tell us, paano ba yan magagawa kung sa bahay lang? Like, you mentioned about using a plant oil. You don't just start putting it on your body as soon as you buy it from the health store, right? What would be a good way to be able to do a quick and easy way to check on your whether you are allergic to something?
New product. tell patients is apply a small part either behind your ear, the skin behind your ear, kasi tago, or the inner arm and here on the side, and leave it there for 72 hours, meaning mga 3 days. Wait for 3 days to see a reaction. Not just like until the next day. Iba until the next day, wala, okay na. Because there's some delayed reaction. We tell patients, better to see 3 days to see reaction. Chances are, maybe you're not gonna react. But yun nga, for some, hindi mo ma-predict eh. For some, they've been using it for quite a while and then suddenly develop a reaction. So, that's the thing with anything applied topically. You can't predict. So, but that's one way of checking na for those mga instant mga reactions na lalo na for allergic reactions. You wait for around 3 days if you're gonna react.
Yeah. Thank you. So, what you're saying is that there are some that are going to react immediately. There are some that are going to react after 3 days. That would be a safe time to be really able to tell. Because it could be that you've used it day 1, parang okay lang, day 2, okay lang, and then day 3, you suddenly react to it. When you do have an allergic reaction, what should they do? Apart from discontinuing its use, should they be afraid that they have suddenly put in something very toxic in their bodies? Or simply this is just the body telling them, okay, I think you better stop using that kasi hindi tayo, we can't be together.
No, it's just allergic reactions are parang, it's weird actually. Some develop it, some don't, and voila, it's just really, it's how your body reacts to the product and in terms with that product. So once you're allergic, with topical, once you're allergic to a certain ingredient, you're always allergic to it. So parang it just gets worse with repeated exposure. So when you know na it starts to get itchy with that product, stay away from it. It means just your body can't tolerate it. It's just really irritating your skin.
So I guess it would be good to also just point out that allergic reactions are not something that you need to really panic about unless it really is super grave.
Yeah.
Some would think kasi na kapag allergic ka, merong toxic ingredients. Not necessarily so, right? Because even all natural ingredients actually can really bring about certain allergies. And there are actually more allergic reactions with natural ingredients than with synthetic ingredients. Because synthetic ingredients, parang wala tayo ng mga receptors that are really going to tell na parang kilala namin ito, ayaw natin ito. And that's why they're able to also really lodge themselves into our bodies. And that's when they start to cause certain havocs within our system. So I think finally, Chandra, and thank you so much for everything that you, I think we're going to need to invite you another time for a longer one, maybe just really, to cover also all the other things that we won't be able to cover today. But before we end, would really appreciate it if you could maybe share with us certain clean beauty skin practices that you feel are going to allow the persons here who are interested in living a more sustainable lifestyle to help them achieve a more conscientious towards the environment and healthier lifestyle. Like maybe just let us know ano lang ba ang kailangan, ano ang mga things that you can that you just really need to do to be able to make sure that your skin is clean, diba? What is it really that we should just really do for our skin to maintain it, healthily, to keep it healthy?
It's a case to case, but in general, aside from our skincare, first of all, you have to keep yourself healthy. So basically having a healthy diet and staying hydrated is a big factor in your skin. And another thing is avoid too much sun exposure, only because of we always tell it na it's okay to be, syempre, to have some sun exposure, but too much, like, as in talagang intense sun exposure, we tell patients to avoid it because of risk of skin cancer and skin aging. And that's the cause of, primarily cause of wrinkles and, sunspots and all that. So, kasi, but yeah, our major issue there was actually the skin cancer. And then third, with regards to, in terms of maintaining the skin or cleansing the skin, try to keep things simple. Parang kasi the more products you put, the higher the chances that you'd have irritation or reactions because you're exposing yourself to so much products. So if you were to like simplify it, parang syempre you need to cleanse, of course, every day naman we all need to cleanse, that's basic. But after you cleanse, I would advise you moisturize because whenever we wash, even just with water or even if you say it's a mild soap, it strips away your oil. So you need to moisturize your skin to keep it from getting dry and irritated. And then lastly, as a derm, we always say, please use a sunscreen on the very sun-exposed area. So it's usually the face and because we're trending lang talaga kami with skin cancer and also and for patients to lessen your wrinkles, para to how do you say, para lessen those mga the complaints din ng mga patients. Oh, I have these lines, I have this sunspots and stuff. Yeah. It's all because of UV exposure. So prevention is better or easier than cure, diba? So that's why we say, if but actually for me, I don't really parang I know a lot of patients, even myself, parang nakakatamad to put sunscreen. It's like it's a tedious for a lot. For certain people, it's tedious to put. It's sticky, ganyan. So the very least you could do is actually just cover up. Use an umbrella, use a hat, ganyan. But the point there is not to get too exposed to the sun, especially in our country. So,
thank you so much. So that would be eat well, eat healthily, cleanse with simple, with cleansers that are, have non-toxic and are simply formulated, and then some moisturize, right? And then put on sunscreen. I think the put on sunscreen is something I'm guilty of, but it's nice to know that it's not just it's not just really out of vanity that you should be putting your sunscreen, but that it actually protects you and it keeps you, it avoids skin cancer. So yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this. I think that was a really, really full 1 hour. And us both, we can be talking for longer than an hour. But I think it was really, really very valuable that everybody learned from a dermatologist so that, they would understand that these things that we really want to also educate everybody about, these are also very much supported and founded by the brave people like you who really bother to look into these things like environmental dermatology and, integrative dermatology. And I really, together with the Four Keys family, we really wish, you the best, and we are, really rooting for you to really be able to, just do so well in just really, paano ba? This field that you have chosen to be so interested in. I hope there are more dermatologists that would also do the same thing. I think that's what I really wanted to also say. So we will end there. And thank you so much for joining us today. And for everybody else who is here, if you have any questions, please send them over. You can always DM us. And if there are certain things that maybe we can answer for you, help you with, or maybe consult with Chandra here so that she can give her opinion on these things also. Maybe we can, no promises, but we will do our best in answering these questions. So thank you so much. Thanks, Chandra. It was nice having you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.